यात्री कृपया ध्यान दें.
Okay, cool. So, okay, Jishan, quick introduction. What's up, man?
So yeah, my name is Jishan Ora. I am from India, New Delhi. I actually came to Canada in like 2017, maybe like in May somewhere. Basically, at that time, I passed my high school and I was like looking for options. And then suddenly something came into my mind and I ended up being here. It wasn't planned,
Hmm.
After that, right now, I'm currently in my third year of degree and things are going pretty well so far. I have been like, because in our university, there's a co-op program. So I've been a part of that. I've been into two companies like as an intern. And luckily, like maybe I'll be like getting my next one in next May 2021. So that'll be
Okay.
it.
Okay, and you are from University of Manitoba, if I'm not wrong, right?
Y- University of Manitoba, yes.
Manitoba. I think it's pretty good university. I've seen the ranking. It's I think Canadian ranking is I think seventh or eighth, if I'm not wrong. It's into that range only, right?
The ranking doesn't matter. The only thing that matter in our profession, like in computer science, is the
Hmm.
person itself. So I've seen some people who have just done a diploma from a normal college and they're getting 100K. So what I would prefer, yeah, university does give you a boost. For example, if I would have been in any other university, there could have not been like a core program. Because with a core program like this internship program that the university hosts, it's so all the employers they just post a job specifically for the U of M. So what happens is there's a better chance of getting a job in that scenario. So I would say the only thing that a university helps in is just to give you an like a little boost at the first.
Hmm.
So overall, I would not prefer like every university would be same for me.
Okay, until and unless it is something like University of Toronto or Waterloo, maybe, right?
University of Waterloo, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But for that for that thing, you have to have some good pockets.
Pocket as well as I think GPA. I really don't understand this thing about Canada. Why do they give so much importance to GPA? I mean, like overall profile on one side and GPA on one side. What the hell is this? So can you just like briefly explain like what is all of this?
Why a GPA matter is just because how the Canadian education system is designed. For example, I have my friends in India, like my whole group, and no offense, but they have completed their degrees, but they don't know much. Just because, all the assignments, everything, they just do by their own, in group assignments and all that stuff, cheating and all that stuff. Here, if a person is having a good GPA, that can happen only if a person is doing solely by himself. So you can't, because basically if they catch you like cheating, so they give you three chances. So at the first chance you will get a zero in the assignment, in the second chance you will get thrown out of the course, and in the third chance back to India. So that kind of regularity, that kind of strictness leads to integrity. And if a person is having, for example, a 4 GPA, of
Hmm.
course he will be preferred. It's not for sure that employers prefer GPA. Some don't care about it,
Hmm.
but that just gives you an overall perspective of how a person can be. Because if he's getting good marks, he'll be a good learner. That's it. Like they like even like some of the people don't even care about GPA. If you have good projects and all that stuff, you're good to go.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm not clear. Like, were you talking about GPA in terms of getting into the university or just like for the employers?
Both. I think because as far as I know, of course, like applying for applications, they consider GPA a lot, and even for jobs, I have heard that they do consider GPA and stuff. But that thing you have clarified that that's not that much of valuable. But for of course for applications, they do have this sort of criteria that this GPA. Of course, if it's not research, because what I've heard about like MS or research is that if you are able to convince your supervisor, then you're able to get through the get application process. But again, like if for ME as well, and I think that's the basic criteria also for scrutinizing people, because what else do they even have? If they don't set even the GPA criteria, then what else can do can they even have for selecting the students? Yeah, so that's pretty much clear
Hmm.
now.
There are some other things like, you can actually create some projects. So by projects, what I mean is something like a full stack application, having React at the front or
Hmm.
a backend database or something. Like nowadays, like Microsoft, AWS all gives student credits. So you can actually host something on their web, on Azure or AWS without paying stuff.
Hmm.
So they, because every application you would do in the company in Canada, there will be a section for sure where they will ask you relevant websites. So that is just because you can enter your, maybe for example for you, you're running this kind of a huge page. So this shows that you're committed into what you're doing. Or maybe, as per what I was saying, that maybe a deployed application or something like that, that will even give you a boost. So for example, you're having a 3 GPA out of 4.5, that comes out to be like 60%, and there's a guy with 4.1 GPA, they will prefer you, of course. They don't care about GPA then. It's about the
Okay.
person then. So it depends.
Okay. And how was your application process for bachelor's?
For me, bachelor's, it was just like I searched a lot of universities, and then I got an offer letter from what to do, but they are like 20 lakhs in years, like so that was out of my pocket. So I ended up being here. Getting into U of M is pretty easy because there are actually an college associated, like an ICM, International College of Manitoba. So what they do is it's specifically for international students. So I was studying as an international student in the first year. So the reason they have made is just because, in most of the international education is like they tend to have like a batch of 50, 60 in the classes.
Mm.
So for that reason, in the first year, they just let us be in a batch of 50 or 60. And then in the university, when I, attended my first lecture, there were like 250 students in the lecture hall. And it's like really hard to understand what's the professor saying. So
Mm.
doing that was actually helpful. So as far as the admission is concerned, U of M is not a big of a deal. You can get into it. Like, yeah, but at least they'll prefer like 70% plus, something like that, 60
Mhm.
or 70, I guess, in high school.
And like this is you're talking about mass for bachelor's, right? Admission for bachelor's.
Bachelor's. For
Okay.
masters, the only way you can get in is actually to get in touch with a professor. So in
Mm.
masters, how it works is, in most of the universities in Canada, master works like you have to be have a direct, communication with the professor or someone like that who can refer you actually. So
Mm.
getting into masters is a bit different process than, rather than like for bachelor's, you just apply, you get the offer letter. But masters is like company is you have to sell yourself to get into it, something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
And you talked about like the assignments thing, right? That if there is even a little bit of plague, you get 3 warnings, and after that you are deported to India, to back to India. So
Yes.
what are these assignments? Like I see, I'm not able to understand. Are the parameters of Canadian education really at the level, at the industry level? Do they teach the stuff which is like really used in the industry? When you talk about, back in India, your friends don't know, of
Hmm.
course, like I'm not being, I'm not, judging you, but yeah, even I know how the Indian education system. I have done bachelor's over here. I know how the Indian education system is. After engineering, even in my college, people don't know even the basics of what industry demands right now. But what does Canadian education offers, when we talk about industry level education?
Yeah, sure. By first, I'd like to clarify the way I said like they don't know anything is considering the fact that they're studying full time, and like most of them, like most of the people that I encounter, they don't tend to take their studies too seriously. Maybe that's the reason, I guess. So as far as, can you please repeat your question? I'm sorry. I was,
Okay, so it's just
yeah,
that
like the assignments and stuff, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
As far as industry experience is concerned, There's nothing. Like they're teaching just the languages. So as for
Mm.
example, for me on the first internship, I was expected to make a React application. I never saw, I never even, knew like JavaScript or, HTML, CSS. I never worked with front end stuff. So I was
Okay.
expected to work directly on React. So
Mm.
that was something, literally some sort of a pressure that was created. But somehow, because I'm just good at it. Like even if you will say, okay, just make a basic application in Vue, I'll just copy paste stuff and I'll get the stuff done, even though I don't know what's going on. So I got that stuff done. So in the university, the type of assignments are like, basic Java programming skills. Java, or the basic language is Java that
Fizz,
is used
fizz,
in the our
fizz
university.
questions, right? Fizz questions, the
Yeah,
basic
yeah,
interview level. Like maybe
yes.
data structures, and I get it, I get it. But they are more of a practical kind of thing, not the theoretical stuff, right?
Yes. Like for example, we may require to have event-driven stimulations where like from the start of the program to the end of the program, there's a timer and you're arranging actual, for example, patients. So I'll just mention one of the project that took like almost that was a assignment project. It was like from the start, like when you start the application, when you start the program, the timer will start. So what's going on is you will be provided with a text file where at different timings the patients are coming, and then you have already given the parameters. For example, when the patient comes to the reception, it takes 5 minutes. For some, depending, it can take 3 minutes, and rest of itself, like tell the doctor. So now you have to, synchronize everything that all the patients are exactly going through the whole cycle and coming out of the hospital. So that is something, a real world application,
Hmm.
like I'll say the algorithm that can
Problem
be used in real
solving.
world application. Yes. So that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. Not like normal, just Fibonacci and all that stuff. They
Hmm.
are they do require some brain work.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. So, okay, I do understand, the differences between the Canadian education and Indian education. But what about the job market? I think, like in India, when you look at jobs, and when I see Canadian jobs, I occasionally apply for remote internships and remote, not internships, but remote jobs as well. So
Hmm.
I don't pretty much see, difference between the requirements. I see difference between, of course, the number of applicants, because in India you have like a lot of crowd after one application, and in Canada, of course, there are pretty less. But of course, there is quality. I think when you are competing with
Hmm.
24 applicants instead of 240 applicants, but here in Canada you have like all the geniuses at one place, all the brains, competing for one job, because and I was seeing your portfolio as well. I think you're pretty much ready for job, buddy.
Thank
You know
you.
you know a lot. You know a lot. So what's the job market over there?
This is actually the same question I asked, and I had a session with one of the guys from D2L. It's Desire to Learn. So Desire to Learn is a company who manages, the educational side of the universities, like the study material and all that stuff. So when you have, a login page to, access your study material. So I asked the same question. Okay, for example, me, because I am actually looking for my summer internships right now. So I just hosted that kind of an interview session. So I just asked him, okay, so if I and another guy are having same experience, everything is same, whom you are going to choose? And his answer was like, first of all, the experience can be like, okay, just leave that aside. And then he was like, the major thing that they're going to see is how I will fit into the culture. They need someone who can work in teamwork and who can actually express ideas. They don't need robots, like, just keep on solving what is given to you. They need someone, for example, if you're looking into looking into their portfolio, and if you find something that can be improved, they want us to actually tell them rather than just doing our own business. So
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. The only thing, yeah, so if you're, because somehow sometimes what happens is, I don't know why I get missed out with some of the applications just because they rely on too much, too much on the cover letters. So considering like our resumes are same, right? But they first read the cover letters. So by reading the cover letter, what happens is you're actually trying to connect a bond, while reading it, you'll be able to see what kind of a person, I'm expecting. So there are chances that if someone has written a better cover letter than you, and you are actually better in skills, they will actually interview them, not you. So that kind of stuff happens. They are more into looking at soft skills, how you will fit in the company. Because every Canadian company, when you start, they're gonna train you. So they don't care. If you know a bit, they're good with it.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Okay. That this thing is little new for me. I was initially thinking that, in Canada, what would be the scenario would be that, they would be looking at your tech skills, at your, like, how much you know React, how much you know Node, what
Mhm.
projects you have done. Okay. And what's this cover letter? I have written cover letters for research, but what's for job? How do you write this cover letter thing?
First of all, like I will also add something to my previous answer. If you consider companies like Google, Amazon, big tech companies,
Hmm.
the recruitment process is absolutely same. Like you will all go through that 5-step process,
Hmm.
those lead code solution,
Hmm.
and that is, to be honest, I'm not even that much good at those lead code
Hmm.
and hacker rank stuff.
Hmm.
But what I was talking about is some companies that will pay you well,
Hmm.
and they don't require that because they focus more on company culture. Of course, the tech companies have good culture, but because they're tech companies, they give like million resumes in a year, so they have to have that.
Hmm.
And for the cover letters is actually, I usually find cover letter much of a waste of a time, to be honest. I
Okay.
don't know, there would have been some sort of benefit, but in the first paragraph, we are supposed to write why do we want to go to the company. In the second paragraph, they expect us to write how will I fit into that position. And in the third, there are actually four paragraphs occasionally, occasionally four, but they are typically three. And then in the third paragraph, they're expecting how your soft skills, how your behavior is gonna match with our team. And last paragraph will be, just closing lines. So just that. So they expect us, for example, if you have mentioned a project that is really good, but you can't describe it, completely, they expect us to describe everything that we have not written in the cover letter. So they're not expecting me, because when what I mean by in the second paragraph, for example, we're supposed to write how am I qualifying for the job. They don't want to listen to the same things. Like for example, if the job application is requiring a React or whatever front end stuff, they're not expecting for me to just keep on writing everything, just listing stuff in a cover letter. They actually want me to talk to them properly. Okay, they want to have a justification. So if I say I know React, what I would write is I know React for my personal projects and the internships. Then I'll mention, okay, I did this in my IQ matrix. I worked in IQ matrix, so I did this in one of the companies, how I solved it, what was the outcome, how was the application. So they are more, into that rather than just listing the technologies. So that is what a cover letter is. But yeah, they just
Got it.
need it. We just make it.
So I think it's an extra supported document just for selling yourself, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
That was a very brief answer. Oh, short answer.
it.
That's good.
Got it. Got it. And what sort of internships have you done until now? You told that your program is a co-op. And before jumping to that, what is actually a
Mhm.
co-op? I know that, but my audience doesn't know, what co-op is. And because here we don't have a culture of co-op. Here we just normally get admission and, look out for internships on our own, and then, in summer breaks, do a full-time internship and something like that. What's co-op?
Canadian universities want us, like our students, when we graduate, we don't need to look for, like have to be sitting idle for 6 months or a year to find a job. So what happens is my degrees are 4 years, but what happens in a co program, and yeah, I'd like to add something. Not everyone gets the co-op. So for example, out of the 200 students, just 50 were selected. So that is something. Okay, I'll tell first what the core program is. A core program is like an association with the university, with the local companies or across Canada. What happens is they are actually, I guess, somehow funded by the government just to train the students, and they're actually paid. They pay well.
Hmm.
As per, they are not going to pay you just basic, the minimum wages. So they have an association with the universities that, okay, every semester we're gonna post a job. We're gonna hire you one student. So I don't know what's their benefit in that or how that thing works, but when you get into the third year in UFM, you start applying for jobs. So there are actually 3 semesters in a year here. So technically we are having like 4 month semester. So what I am doing, so as soon as I entered the third year, I took a job at one of the companies, and then it's like, rotating. So 4 months job, and then 4 months study, and then 4 months job. I'm back to study. So
Okay.
that is how the program from 4 years becomes 5 years, because you're doing an extra 1 year of job as a part of the university. Yep, that is how the university supports you. So, but I have seen a tremendous, like benefit of this, because if you will see my resume when I was applying for the first job and right now, I'm like, anyone will be like, okay, the transformation was shocking.